Today, movies rarely leave much to the imagination, but in the early 1930s, Hollywood directors worked in an unregulated era where they had to navigate the public's thirst for mature themes while avoiding a total shutdown from local censors. By 1932, the Great Depression pushed unemployment near 25%. For millions in breadlines like this one, daily reality was bleak. When they spent their few remaining cents on a movie ticket, they wanted something that looked nothing like their actual lives. Hollywood provided that escape through continental sophistication. Studios replaced the grit of the streets with pristine Art Deco sets, using these glamorous backdrops to explore adult relationships with a maturity that felt light years away from the breadlines. This created a specific tension. Profit-driven studios wanted to sell sex and crime to a desperate public, but moral watchdogs were already circling, looking for any reason to intervene. Ernst Lubitsch had the exact sensibility needed to navigate this environment. His 1932 film, Trouble in Paradise, bypassed the era's obstacles by inventing an entirely new way to tell a story. The plot centers on two high-society thieves, Gaston and Lily, who meet in Venice and decide to con a wealthy perfume heiress, Madame Mariette Collet. Herbert Marshall plays Gaston with a relaxed, non-threatening charm. He doesn't look like a criminal from a gritty thriller. He looks like a man who belongs in the high-society world he's about to rob. This film was revolutionary because it didn't treat crime as a moral failing. Instead, Lubitsch used it as a vehicle for glamour and desire, using a new cinematic language to suggest what he couldn't show. This language became known as the Lubitsch touch. It was a method of communicating the most scandalous details of a plot by showing absolutely nothing unseemly on screen. The technique relied on substitution. Lubitsch would take an explicit human action and replace it with a shot of a mundane, everyday object. A sequence of closing bedroom doors or a pair of discarded tuxedos told the story of a private encounter far more effectively than showing the characters themselves, all while keeping the censors at bay. In one scene, the camera simply watches a grandfather clock. As the hands move rapidly forward through the night, the narrative tension rises. The audience fills in the gap, knowing exactly what has occurred during those missing hours. This approach made the audience an active participant in the film. By trusting the viewer to use their own intelligence to fill in the blanks, Lubitsch made the story feel more intimate. These visual tricks were paired with dialogue that functioned like a high-speed tennis match of double entendres. When Gaston and Lily first meet, they share a romantic embrace, whispering what sounds like traditional confessions of love. But the dialogue reveals the truth. While they hold each other, they are actually counting the stolen watches and wallets they've managed to pickpocket during the hug. Lubitsch frames the physical act of stealing with the same tenderness as a romantic caress, making the crime itself look like a form of foreplay. By making criminal behavior look like the ultimate aphrodisiac, Lubitsch created a world where being bad was the most attractive thing a character could be. This freedom ended in mid-1934, when the Motion Picture Production Code was strictly enforced. These new bureaucratic watchdogs brought a rigid set of moral rules to every studio in Hollywood. The new mandates were clear. Criminals had to be punished for their misdeeds, and any hint of sexual promiscuity had to be scrubbed from the script. Trouble in Paradise violated every one of these rules. It featured a trio of thieves who successfully conned their way through high society and suffered zero moral or legal consequences for it. Consequently, the film was officially banned from re-release in 1935. It was locked away in a dark studio vault and remained completely unseen by the public for the next 40 years. Censors viewed this specific comedy as a threat because its suggestive tone made immorality look more sophisticated and desirable than any gritty crime drama could. The film was finally rediscovered in the late 20th century after decades of being hidden away in the dark. When it resurfaced, its maturity stood in stark contrast to the sanitized, moralistic films that had dominated Hollywood for the previous 40 years. It revealed a level of sophistication that had been effectively suppressed since 1934. The film's lasting lesson is that what is suggested to the imagination is often more memorable than what is explicitly shown on screen. This unique style of filmmaking relied entirely on the sophisticated intelligence of the viewer sitting in the dark. Trouble in Paradise remains a testament to an era when Hollywood assumed its audience was worldly and capable of handling adult wit without the need for a moral lecture.